Right now, in this very moment, you are creating your tomorrow with the thoughts you're thinking and the feelings you're feeling. The question isn't whether you have power. The question is whether you're using it consciously or Raise your hand if you've ever blamed your circumstances for where you are in life. Keep it up, look around. Nearly everyone in this room has their hand raised, and that's exactly where we need to start. Because the greatest lie ever told to humanity is that your circumstances control your destiny. Now, that your past determines your future, that you are a victim of forces beyond your control. This lie has been passed down through generations like a family heirloom. Nobody wants, but everyone keeps. Your parents believed it. Their parents believed it. Society reinforces it every single day. Turn on the news, and what do you see? People explaining why they can't succeed because of the economy, because of their background, because of what happened to them years ago. But what if I told you that everything you've been taught about success and failure is backwards? What if the very thing you think is holding you back is actually the doorway to your freedom? Let me tell you about Sarah. 3 years ago, Sarah was sleeping in her car. Her business had failed. Her marriage had crumbled. Her bank account was empty. She had every reason to believe that life was against her. Every statistic supported her victim story. Every well-meaning friend reinforced her limitations. One night, sitting in that cold car with nowhere to go, something shifted. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" she asked a different question. She asked, "How is this serving me?" In that moment of brutal honesty, she realized something that would change everything. She realized that every single result in her life, the good, the bad, and the ugly, was a perfect reflection of her inner state. The business failed because she had been operating from fear, not confidence. The marriage crumbled because she had been seeking completion from another person instead of being complete within herself. The money disappeared because deep down she believed she wasn't worthy of abundance. This wasn't about blame. This wasn't about shame. This was about power. The moment she took complete responsibility for her experience, she claimed complete power over her future. What happened next defies everything you've been taught about how change works. Within 6 months, Sarah had rebuilt her business. Within a year, she had attracted a partner who loved and supported her completely. Within 18 months, she was financially free, not because her circumstances changed first. Her circumstances changed because she changed first. But here's what most people miss. Sarah didn't change her actions first. She didn't create a new business plan first. She didn't network her way to new relationships first. She changed something much more fundamental. She changed how she felt about herself and her possibilities. This is where most people get lost. They try to change their lives by changing their circumstances. They switch jobs, move to new cities, end relationships, start new diets, buy different clothes, and when nothing really changes, they conclude that change is hard or impossible. The truth is much simpler and much more powerful. You don't change your life by changing your circumstances. You change your circumstances by changing your life. And your life changes when you change how you feel. Listen carefully to this next statement, because it will either transform your life or you'll dismiss it and stay exactly where you are. Feeling is the secret to everything you want to create in your life. Not thinking, not positive affirmations, not vision boards, not goal setting. Feeling. Your subconscious mind, which controls 95% of your daily actions, doesn't respond to words. It responds to feelings. When you truly feel wealthy, your subconscious creates wealthy behaviors. When you truly feel loved, your subconscious creates loving action. When you truly feel successful, your subconscious creates successful habits. But here's where it gets interesting. Most people have this backwards. They think they'll feel wealthy when they get money. They think they'll feel loved when someone loves them. They think they'll feel successful when they achieve success. The masters of manifestation know better. They feel wealthy first, and then money comes. They feel loved first, and then love appears. They feel successful first, and then success follows. This isn't positive thinking. This isn't pretending. This is understanding how creation actually works. Everything that exists was first a feeling in someone's consciousness. before it became a thing in the physical world. The chair you're sitting on was first a feeling of comfort in a designer's mind. The building you're in was first a feeling of shelter in an architect's heart. Your smartphone was first a feeling of connection in an inventor's imagination. Nothing comes into physical reality that wasn't first a feeling in consciousness. This means that right now, whatever you're feeling most consistently and most intensely is creating your future reality. If you're feeling frustrated most of the time, you're creating more frustrating experience. If you're feeling anxious most of the time, you're creating more anxiety-provoking situations. If you're feeling lack most of the time, you're creating more scarcity. But if you're feeling grateful most of the time, you're creating more reasons to be grateful. If you're feeling abundant most of the time, you're creating more abundance. If you're feeling joyful most of the time, you're creating more joyful experience. Now some of you are thinking, but I can't just feel differently. My feelings come from what happens to me. And that's exactly the programming we need to break. Your feelings don't come from what happens to you. Your feelings come from what you think about what happens to you. And what you think is completely under your control. Let me prove this to you. Think about the worst thing that ever happened to you. Feel how that makes you feel right now. Now think about the best thing that ever happened to you. Feel how that makes you feel right now. Notice what just happened. The external circumstances of your life didn't change in the last 30 seconds. You're in the same room, sitting in the same chair with the same people around you, but your feelings changed dramatically just by changing what you focused on. This is your power. This is your freedom. This is your ticket out of the prison of circumstances and into the kingdom of unlimited possibilities. But most people never claim this power because they're too busy proving why it won't work for them. They're too invested in their victim story. They're too comfortable with their limitations. They're too afraid of taking complete responsibility for their lives. Because here's what taking responsibility really means. It means that every result you have is exactly the result you created with your consciousness. Every relation, every bank balance, every health condition, every opportunity that came or didn't come. This terrifies most people because it means they can't blame anyone else for their lives. They can't blame their parents, their spouse, their boss, their genetics, their circumstances, or their past. They have to look in the mirror and say, I created this with my thoughts and feelings, and I can create something different with new thoughts and feelings. But for the courageous few who embrace this truth, it becomes the most liberating realization of their life. Because if you created your current reality with your consciousness, you can create any reality with your consciousness. This is why some people born into poverty become millionaires while others born into wealth lose everything. This is why some people with terrible diagnoses heal completely, while others with minor problems get worse. This is why some people in horrible relationships transform them into beautiful partnerships, while others in good relationships destroy them. It's not about circumstance. It's never about circumstances. It's about consciousness. There are 3 levels of reality that most people never understand. The first level is physical reality, what you can see, touch, and measure. This is where most people live. They look at their bank account and say, I'm poor. They look at their relationship and say, I'm unloved. They look at their body and say, I'm sick. The second level is mental reality, your thoughts, beliefs, and ideas. This is where some people learn to operate. They understand that changing their thoughts can change their experience. They practice positive thinking and affirmations and goal setting. But there's a third level that only the masters understand. Feeling reality. This is where creation actually happens. This is where your future is born. This is where you have unlimited power. When you learn to consciously create your feeling states, regardless of your circumstances, you become the master of your destiny. When you can feel abundant with $10 in your pocket, abundance must manifest in your life. When you can feel loved while alone, love must appear in your experience. When you can feel healthy while healing, wellness must emerge in your body. This isn't magic. This is law. This is how consciousness creates reality. But it requires something most people aren't willing to give. Complete honesty about your current feeling states and complete commitment to changing them. Most people lie to themselves about how they really feel. They say they want success while feeling like failure. They say they want love while feeling unworthy. They say they want abundance while feeling poor. Then they wonder why their lives don't change. The pathway to transformation starts with brutal honesty. How do you really feel about yourself? How do you really feel about your possibility? How do you really feel about your worthiness? How do you really feel about life itself? Until you're honest about your current feeling state, you can't change it. Until you change it, your external circumstances will remain the same. Marcus discovered this truth when his company was on the verge of bankruptcy. He had tried everything: new marketing strategies, cost-cutting, strategic partnerships, additional funding. Nothing worked because he was trying to solve a consciousness problem with physical action. One day, his mentor asked him a simple question: how do you feel when you walk into your office each morning? Marcus answered honestly: anxious, overwhelmed, and defeated. His mentor said, then you're creating more anxiety, overwhelmed, and defeated. Your business is simply reflecting your inner state. That night, Marcus began working on changing his feeling state. Instead of waking up dreading the challenges ahead, he began his day feeling grateful for the opportunity to serve his customer. Instead of looking at his financial statements with fear, he began reviewing them with curiosity about how to create more value. Instead of talking to his employees from stress, he began leading from confidence in their shared mission. Within 3 months, the business turned around completely. New opportunities appeared, key partnerships formed, revenue increased dramatically. The same business, the same market, the same team, but a completely different consciousness behind it. This is the power you have available to you right now. Not tomorrow when your circumstances improve. Not next week when you figure out your strategy. Not next year when you have more resources. Right now, in this moment, you can begin creating your new reality by consciously choosing your feeling state. But understand this clearly. This power comes with complete responsibility. You can no longer blame your past for your future. You can no longer make excuses for why you can't have what you want. You can no longer wait for someone else to save you or for circumstances to improve. You become the cause instead of the effect. You become the creator instead of the victim. You become the source of your experience instead of the result of your conditions. This is both the most empowering and the most challenging truth you'll ever face. It's empowering because it means you have unlimited power to create any reality you choose. It's challenging because it means you must give up all your excuses, all your victim stories, and all your reasons why you can't succeed. The choice is yours. You can continue living as the effect of your circumstances, always at the mercy of external conditions, always hoping things will get better, always waiting for your ship to come in. Or you can claim your birthright as a conscious creator, take complete responsibility for your experience, and begin deliberately creating the life you actually want through the mastery of your feelings. The moment you make this choice, really make it, not just think about making it, everything changes. Not because your circumstances suddenly improve, but because you realize that your circumstances were never the problem. Your relationship with your circumstances was the problem. When you change your relationship with life, life changes its relationship with you. When you stop being the victim of your story, you become the author of your story. When you realize that you are not in the world, but the world is in you, you discover that changing yourself changes everything. This understanding of personal responsibility isn't the end of your journey. It's the beginning. Because once you claim your power to create your reality through your consciousness, you need to understand the natural laws and principles that govern how this creation process works. These natural laws operate with absolute precision, whether you understand them or not. Just like gravity works on everyone equally, the person who understands it and the person who doesn't. These manifestation principles are affecting your life right now, this very moment, regardless of your awareness. Who here has ever planted a garden? Raise your hands. Good. Now keep your hands up if you planted seeds and then dug them up every day to check if they were growing. Put your hands down. You wouldn't do that with a garden, because you understand that growth happens below the surface before it appears above the ground. You plant the seed, water it consistently, provide the right conditions, and trust the process. You don't dig it up to check on it. You don't get angry at the soil for not producing results fast enough. You understand that there's an invisible period of growth that must happen before the visible results appear. Yet with your dreams, with your goals, with your manifestations, most of you do exactly what you'd never do in a garden. You plant the seed of desire, nurture it for a few days or weeks, then dig it up with doubt, worry, and impatience when you don't see immediate results. Your consciousness is the most fertile soil in the universe. Every thought you think, every feeling you feel, every word you speak is a seed being planted in this soil. And this soil, just like garden soil, doesn't discriminate. It will grow whatever you plant with equal enthusiasm. Plant seeds of abundance, and abundance will grow. Plant seeds of scarcity, and scarcity will grow. Plant seeds of love, and love will flourish. Plant seeds of fear, and fear will multiply. The soil doesn't judge the seeds, it simply grows what it receives. But here's what separates the master gardeners of consciousness from everyone else. They understand the seasons of manifestation. Spring is the planting season. This is when you set clear intentions, not just with your mind, but with your entire being. You don't just think about what you want. You feel into it so completely that every cell in your body believes it's already yours. You plant seeds of feelings so deep and so real that your subconscious mind accepts them as current reality, not future possibility. Most people skip this step entirely. They make weak wishes instead of planting powerful seeds. They hope instead of expecting. They want instead of knowing. Then they wonder why nothing grows in their experience. Summer is the growing season. And this is where summer is the time when nothing seems to be happening above ground. Your bank account looks the same. Your relationships appear unchanged. Your health seems static. But underneath the surface, everything is growing, developing, organizing itself for your harvest. During summer, doubt creeps in. Logic argues with faith. Well-meaning friends and family point out that nothing has changed yet. This is when most people abandon their dreams. They dig up their seeds with statements like, "This isn't working," or "Maybe I'm not meant to have this," or "I should be realistic about my limitation." But the masters of manifestation understand summer differently. They know that the lag time between planting and harvesting isn't a sign that the process isn't working. It's proof that the process is working exactly as it should. Think about this. When you plant an oak tree seed, you don't get frustrated that it's not a mighty oak after 1 month. You understand that it takes time for small seeds to become big results. The same is true with your dreams. The bigger the dream, the longer the summer season might be. Autumn is harvest time. This is when your consistent feeling states finally manifest as physical reality. Money appears, opportunities present themselves, relationships transform, health improves. But here's the crucial understanding. Harvest time isn't when the work is done. Harvest time is when the work you've already done becomes visible. Most people think they need to work harder during harvest season. But the opposite is true. During harvest season, your job is to receive gracefully, to say yes to the opportunities that appear, and to take inspired action when it feels natural and effortless. Winter is the rest season. This is when you integrate your new level of success, prepare for the next planting season, and allow yourself to be still. Many people fear winter seasons, thinking something has gone wrong when life feels quiet or when new manifestations aren't appearing rapidly. But winter is essential for sustained growth and long-term success. The farmer who tries to grow crops year-round without rest eventually depletes the soil. The person who tries to manifest constantly without integration eventually depletes their consciousness. Winter seasons restore your creative power and prepare you for even greater manifestations in the next cycle. Now here's something that will change how you think about results forever. Small, consistent feeling states create massive results over time through what we call the compound effect of consciousness. If you improve your feeling state by just 1% each day, feeling 1% more grateful, 1% more confident, 1% more abundant, after 1 year, you'll be 37 times better than when you started. Not 37% better, 37 times better. But most people do the opposite. They improve their feeling state dramatically, for a few days, then slip back to their old patterns for weeks or months. They make huge deposits into their consciousness account occasionally, instead of making small deposits consistently. This is like trying to get physically fit by exercising intensely once a month instead of moderately every day. The secret is consistency, not intensity. The person who feels grateful for 10 minutes every morning will create more abundance than the person who feels grateful for 3 hours once a month. The person who practices feeling loved for 5 minutes daily will attract more love than the person who visualizes their perfect relationship for an entire weekend once in a while. This is why successful people often seem to have easy lives while struggling people always seem to face challenges. It's not that successful people don't face difficulties. It's that they've trained themselves to maintain positive feeling states consistently, so their difficulties are temporary and their successes are permanent. For struggling people, negative feeling states are consistent and positive feeling states are temporary, so their successes are brief and their challenges are ongoing. Life operates in predictable patterns, and once you understand these patterns, you can navigate them with wisdom instead of being surprised by them. Every breakthrough is preceded by a breakdown. Every expansion is preceded by contraction. Every birth is preceded by darkness. This isn't punishment, it's preparation. The caterpillar must dissolve completely before it becomes a butterfly. The seed must crack open before it becomes a tree. You must release who you've been before you can become who you're meant to be. When challenges appear in your life, instead of asking, why is this happening to me? Ask, how is this preparing me for my next level? The universe isn't trying to break you. It's trying to break you open to greater possibility. Sarah, the woman I told you about earlier, thought sleeping in her car was the worst thing that could happen to her. But looking back, she realizes it was the best thing that could have happened, because it forced her to find the power within herself that she never would have accessed if life had remained comfortable. The challenges in your life aren't obstacles to your dreams. They're the pathway to your dreams. They're burning away everything that isn't aligned with your highest good. They're strengthening the very qualities you'll need to maintain your success once it arrives. But there's a crucial difference between those who use challenges as stepping stones and those who use them as excuses. The difference is their understanding of how the universe actually operates. The universe is not neutral. The universe is biased in your favor. Every force in existence is conspiring to help you succeed, grow, and fulfill your highest potential. But this support doesn't always look like what you expect. Sometimes the universe supports you by removing people from your life who aren't aligned with your growth. Sometimes it supports you by closing doors that would lead you away from your purpose. Sometimes it supports you by creating circumstances that force you to develop strength, courage, or wisdom you didn't know you had. The intelligence that coordinates your heartbeat, that grows your hair, that heals your cuts, that creates synchronicities and coincidences in your life. This same intelligence is orchestrating every detail of your experience to serve your highest good. But you have to cooperate with this intelligence instead of fighting against it. You have to trust the process instead of trying to control every detail. You have to maintain faith during the difficult seasons instead of abandoning your dreams when things get challenged. This brings us to one of the most powerful forces in manifestation: expectation. Not hope, not desire, not wishful thinking, expectation. When you truly expect something, you create a magnetic field that draws that experience. When you hope for something, you're sending mixed signals, because hope implies uncertainty. When you expect something, you're sending clear signals, because expectation implies certainty. Think about something you expect to happen today. Maybe you expect the sun to rise. Maybe you expect your heart to keep beating. Maybe you expect gravity to keep working. How much time do you spend worrying about these things? None. Why? Because you expect them so completely that doubt never enters your mind. This is the feeling state you need to cultivate around your dreams and goals. Not hope that they might happen, not desire that they could happen, complete expectation that they will happen. But how do you develop genuine expectation around something that hasn't happened yet? You build evidence. Every morning when you wake up, That's evidence that your body knows how to heal and regenerate itself while you sleep. Every time you receive money, that's evidence that you're capable of attracting financial flow. Every time someone shows you kindness, that's evidence that you're worthy of love. Start collecting evidence that the universe supports you, that you're capable of creating what you want, that good things happen to you regularly. Your subconscious mind will use this evidence to build unshakable expectation around your future manifestation. But as your expectation grows and your manifestations begin to accelerate, you'll encounter something that stops most people in their tracks: resistance. Resistance appears in two forms: external resistance and internal resistance. External resistance looks like other people opposing your dreams, circumstances seeming to block your progress, or opportunities appearing to disappear just as you reach for them. Most people interpret external resistance as a sign they should quit, or that they're on the wrong path. But external resistance is actually confirmation that you're on the right path. Manifestations begin to change your life. Observe the steps. People around you might feel threatened by your growth, but to highlight their own lack of progress, systems and structures that affect you all. Might put it back as you expand beyond your limitation. This is the universe working against you. The old reality making one last attempt. Internal resistance is even more subtle but more powerful. This is when your own mind creates doubt and fear or self-sabotage, just when your dreams are about to manifest. Your ego will just kept the same way. Small will create every possible argument for why you should return to your comfort zone. You might suddenly feel unworthy of success just as opportunities appear. You might develop irrational fears about what success will cost you. You might find yourself procrastinating or making poor decisions that threaten your progress. This internal resistance isn't a character flaw. It's a natural part of growth. Your mind is designed to keep you safe, and to your mind, familiar equals safe, even if familiar is unhappy or unsuccessful. The key is to recognize resistance as a sign of progress, not a sign of problem. When resistance appears, you're not doing something wrong. You're doing something right. You're threatening the old patterns that have kept you limited, and they're fighting back to survive. This is when persistence becomes crucial, but not stubborn persistence. Intelligent persistence. The difference is that stubborn persistence tries to force outcomes through willpower and effort. Intelligent persistence maintains the feeling state of already having what you want, regardless of temporary appearances. When Maria started her business, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Her first investor backed out. Her key employee quit unexpectedly. Her largest client canceled their contract. Most people would have seen this as evidence they should quit, but Maria had learned to interpret resistance differently. Instead of seeing these setbacks as failures, she saw them as the universe clearing the path for better opportunities. Instead of feeling defeated, she maintained her feeling of being a successful entrepreneur. Within 6 months, she attracted a better investor, hired a more talented team, and landed clients that were 10 times more valuable than the ones she had lost. The resistance hadn't been working against her success. It had been working for her success by removing everything that wasn't aligned with her highest good. This is how the masters of manifestation think differently. They understand that everything is working for them, even when it appears to be working against them. They maintain their power by maintaining their perspective. When you understand these natural laws, the seasons of manifestation, the compound effect of the predictable patterns of growth, the supportive nature of the universe, the power of expectation, and the role of resistance, you stop being a victim of circumstances and become a master of creation. You stop trying to force outcomes and start allowing them. You stop fighting against the process and start flowing with it. You stop being surprised by challenges and start being prepared for them. But understanding these laws intellectually isn't enough. You must apply them daily, through specific practices and disciplines that align your consciousness with what you want to create. The gap between knowing these principles and living them is bridged through consistent daily practices that we must now examine in detail. What separates those who merely wish for a better life from those who command it into existence is not luck, not timing, not even talent. It's the decision to show up every single day with precision, purpose and persistence. Manifestation without action is a fantasy, but combine a clear mind with daily disciplines, rooted in conviction, and you create a force that bends reality in your favor. Here's a question. What's one habit you keep postponing that you know would change everything if you committed to it daily? Think about that, because until that gap closes, so will your results. You cannot manifest abundance while practicing inconsistency. Think about something you expect to happen today. Maybe you expect the sun to rise. Maybe you expect your heart to keep beating. Maybe you expect gravity to keep working. How much time do you spend worrying about these things? None. Why? Because you expect them so completely that doubt never enters your mind. This is the feeling state you need to cultivate around your dreams and goals. Not hope that they might happen, not desire that they could happen, complete expectation that they will happen. But how do you develop genuine expectation around something that hasn't happened yet? You build evidence. Every morning when you wake up, that's evidence that your body knows how to heal and regenerate itself while you sleep. Every time you receive money, that's evidence that you're capable of attracting financial flow. Every time someone shows you kindness, that's evidence that you're worthy of love. Start collecting evidence that the universe supports you, that you're capable of creating what you want, that good things happen to you regularly. Your subconscious mind will use this evidence to build unshakable expectation around your future manifestation. But as your expectation grows and your manifestations begin to accelerate, you'll encounter something that stops most people in their tracks. Resistance. Resistance appears in two forms: external resistance and internal resistance. External resistance looks like other people opposing your dreams, circumstances seeming to block your progress, or opportunities appearing to disappear just as you reach for them. Most people interpret external resistance as a sign they should quit or that they're on the wrong path. But external resistance is actually confirmation that you're on the right path and that your manifestation is close. When you begin to change your life, you disturb the status quo. People around you might feel threatened by your growth because it highlights their own lack of progress. Systems and structures that have kept you small might push back as you expand beyond their limitations. This isn't the universe working against you. It's the old reality making one last attempt to keep you where you were. Internal resistance is even more subtle, but more powerful. This is when your own mind creates doubt, fear, or self-sabotage, just as your dreams are about to manifest. Your ego, which has kept you safe by keeping you small, will create every possible argument for why you should return to your comfort zone. You might suddenly feel unworthy of success just as opportunities appear. You might develop irrational fears about what success will cost you. You might find yourself procrastinating or making poor decisions that threaten your progress. This internal resistance isn't a character flaw. It's a natural part of growth. Your mind is designed to keep you safe, and to your mind, familiar equals safe, even if familiar is unhappy or unsuccessful. The key is to recognize resistance as a sign of progress, not a sign of problem. When resistance appears, you're not doing something wrong. You're doing something right. You're threatening the old patterns that have kept you limited, and they're fighting back to survive. This is when persistence becomes crucial, but not stubborn persistence. The difference is that stubborn persistence tries to force outcomes through willpower and effort. Intelligent persistence maintains the feeling state of already having what you want, regardless of temporary appearances. When Maria started her business, everything that could go wrong did go wrong. Her first investor backed out. Her key employee quit unexpectedly. Her largest client canceled their contract. Most people would have seen this as evidence they should quit. But Maria had learned to interpret resistance differently. Instead of seeing these setbacks as failures, she saw them as the universe clearing the path for better opportunities. Instead of feeling defeated, she maintained her feeling of being a successful entrepreneur. Within 6 months, she attracted a better investor, hired a more talented team, and landed clients that were 10 times more valuable than the ones she had lost. The resistance hadn't been working against her success. It had been working for her success by removing everything that wasn't aligned with her highest good. This is how the masters of manifestation think differently. They understand that everything is working for them, even when it appears to be working against them. They maintain their power by maintaining their perspective. When you understand these natural laws, the seasons of manifestation, The compound effect of the predictable patterns of growth, the supportive nature of the universe, the power of expectation, and the role of resistance. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become a master of creation. You stop trying to force outcomes and start allowing them. You stop fighting against the process and start flowing with it. You stop being surprised by challenges and start being prepared for them. But understanding these laws intellectually isn't enough. You must apply them daily through specific practices and disciplines that align your consciousness with what you want to create. The gap between knowing these principles and living them is bridged through consistent daily practices that we must now examine in detail. What separates those who merely wish for a better life from those who command it into existence is not luck, not timing, not even talent. It's the decision to show up every single day with precision, purpose, and persistence. Manifestation without action is a fantasy, but combine a clear mind with daily disciplines rooted in conviction, and you create a force that bends reality in your favor. Here's a question. What's one habit you keep postponing that you know would change everything if you committed to it daily? Think about that, because until that gap closes, so will your results. You cannot manifest abundance while practicing inconsistency.